Hi everyone, my name is AnnickMagac. I am the author of Clear. I am a speaker, a coach, and a designer. And today, I am multitasking. Today I want to talk to you about public speaking and how to prepare yourself for speaking. I was inspired to talk about this because I happen to be listening to, I don't know if you guys follow Coach Glitter on Periscope, but if you do, she's fantastic. She's a stylist who gives a lot of points on style. Public, not performance, but basically the way you look in public. And one of the things that she was talking about was public speaking and what not to wear, which triggered me to think about preparing for speeches, because I'm actually, the reason why I'm driving is I'm heading to a Toastmasters meeting. I am the president of my Toastmasters club this year. And so I've been heavily involved with Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an international group that meets. There's tons and tons and tons of clubs across the U.S. and the world that you can join. And when you get into Toastmasters, it basically has a curriculum, where you can learn how to speak confidently in public. You also get to meet incredible people, and on top of that, you get a lot of feedback on your performance. So the number one thing that I would recommend when preparing for public speaking, for anything, and when I say public speaking, I'm not just talking about a paid gig where you stand up in front of 150 people plus and talk about your specific program. When I refer to public speaking, I'm talking about being able to stand up at work and voice your opinion publicly about a project, or being able to do a small presentation. I'm talking about doing webinars on the internet. I'm talking about being at a family function, like a wedding. You might be called on to give a toast, and being able to stand up and confidently give a toast. All of that I refer to as public speaking. Anytime that you've got to get up, even if it's at the grocery store and you have to yell across the aisles for somebody to come clean something up, that's public speaking. When you're yelling, aisle 5, aisle 5, we need a clean up. Know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm getting at. Now, to prepare for public speaking, there are a few things to keep in mind. One, the golden rule, Annick's golden rule. Be prepared for anything to happen, because if it can happen, it will happen. And let me tell you, let me give you a couple of examples. One time I was getting ready to speak, and I decided to reapply my lipstick. And I was about to go on stage, and I realized that I had been talking to maybe 20, 30 people before I was getting up to actually speak, and I decided I should probably go to the bathroom first before I give this talk. Well, lo and behold, I walked into the bathroom, and I had very carefully, I basically outlined a huge, huge outline around my mouth. The lipstick was barely on my lips. It was mostly on my face. Now, the great thing was that I realized, as usual, that people are too embarrassed to say anything about that to you. So part of my golden rule is that if I ever see a booger or anybody's got something on their face, I always tell them, because I would really, really appreciate if you guys ever see me in any of these casts or anything like that. If I got something on me, let me know. There's no reason why any of us should go through publicly looking like a mess. You know, that is just totally not, not appropriate. So, as I said, or what I'm getting at, my point is that if you are going to be applying, ladies, men, whoever, if you're no boogers, if you're going to be applying makeup, please make sure that you do it in front of a mirror. Double check the teeth. Make sure you don't have like a nice lip stain across. You don't have your lunch stuck in a tooth. You don't have crazy hair going on, because that happens a lot, especially if you're talking outside or we're busy and you're running late. Which brings me to point number 2. When you're public speaking, and I say prepare for anything to happen, you must be on time. In fact, you must be early to the event, because this is what's going to happen. You are going to show up thinking that you've booked a room, or you're getting paid to speak, or whatever the scenario might be. Like you are getting ready for your event at work, and you're going to realize that when you showed up, that no one did anything that you expected that they were going to do. So we cannot put it onto anybody else to prepare the environment in which we're going to speak at. You need to get there early, make sure that there's enough seating for people, that there are acoustics that are proper, that you have everything working functionally as far as electronics. So this brings me to tip number 3. As far as electronics are, never make the assumption that your electronics are going to work. I use Apple computers. That's the platform that I use. And I have a very new MacBook, which doesn't have all the ports that some of the older PCs or other books have. I showed up to a talk where I realized that when I got there, they didn't have the right cords. I didn't have the right cords either. But what saved me was that I had saved an extra version of my my slideshow on a USB. And because I did that, I was able to use, and it took forever, like we were scrounging to find a computer from the event to set it up and be able to do my presentation. Now, I hadn't really thought about that in advance. It sounds like something that, might be, it is so easy to overlook is what I'm getting at. And what also happens is that this whole cord situation, electronics change and they keep changing in a lot of places, like especially if you're speaking at like a library that gets free gear or technology, they may not be spending money on upgrading their electronics. So you may show up and just find that whatever they have is completely antiquated. So as a backup, have your computer. If it's preferable, and I'd also like to mention this too. So even if you're using if you're using a Mac and you're using Word documents, so for instance, I use PowerPoint on a Mac, and I took my PowerPoint and I put it onto a PC version. The PC version of PowerPoint will also mess with your graphics. So you do not want to be thrown with these kind of small glitches when you're speaking, because as you go through your slides and then all of a sudden the slide shows up and it doesn't look at all the way it's supposed to, that can kind of throw you off. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for anything like that. So I highly recommend that you have duplicates of everything. And worst case scenario, because you cannot control any of these things, that you can give the speech that you have planned without any visuals. I truly believe that you should be able to get up. Now, this is not including a webinar in this kind of scenario, but you should be able to get up and give your presentation without the support of a visual, because you never know what can happen. So these are a few of my speaking tips to get ready for public speaking. Those were the 3 that I was thinking about. So we've got, make sure that you look in a mirror and you know what you look like before you get on stage. Do not expect anybody to tell you about that spinach. 2, you want to be able to prepare for the worst case scenario. You want to be able to have backups, and you also want to make sure, or the 2 was actually that you want to be on time. So we want to make sure that you are early, not on time, at the very least on time, but that you are early to the event to make sure that everything is set up the way it's supposed to be. And 3 is to make sure that all your electronics work properly, and that as a backup, being superstar status, that you can actually deliver your speech without any visual support. So that's what I've got for you today. I'm going to, the light's fading, and I don't think you're going to be able to see very much. If you have any questions or any comments on what I provided as information for you today, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if there's what topics you want me to speak about, what resonates with you. I'm AnnickMagac on all social media platforms. Or you can email me at info@AnnickMagac.com. That's ANNICKMAGAC.com. I would love to hear from you and to connect. And I appreciate so much that you are taking your time to be with me tonight. So, ciao.